a part of you in my life, my Jersey family.
Very good. So it's better, everyone is in time. So we will start our journey. So in the last session we discussed about the goal of life. Average person, any person can easily understand through the intellect what is the goal of life, or any principle, any concept. But the mind comes in between, because it is the mind that sets the way of life, the lifestyle. And that causes, because there is a big gap. So, how to bridge this gap is this what we are learning. So, if I just recap, in the first principle, we understood that there is a real self of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. But we have the three layers, that is, the impurities. We will discuss each and everything in detail. The impurities, what are those impurities? Where that includes anger and hesitation, duality and a reaction. We will understand each and every aspect of it and how they originate. But this is just the beginning, how the master starts teaching. This master, I am not the master. So, then in the second verse, so in the first verse we should be very clear in our head that we are of the nature of peace and happiness, but it is within me and still I am not able to see it. It is because of impurities, ignorance, and projection or imagination. So in the second verse we understood that ignorance, what did we understood? I'm looking at the Sanskrit verse. So ignorance can only be removed by knowledge. That has to be very clear. I need not to breathe for 10 minutes to know who you are. You simply tell me your name and then I see you and I know you. So that is removing the ignorance outside. I don't know you, so now I know you, your name, your profession, etc., etc., etc. So I need not to do any practice to know you. You see, that is how the ignorance to the knowledge works. Then what happens? Ignorance to knowledge is a very challenging task, and the mind is not able to grasp it. Even intellect says, I have understood what you are saying, but then if you have understood, then you have realized. Let us have today's the last session. But it is not happening. So now why it is not happening? So the master answers, it is because of the impurities in the mind. It is because of the projection in the mind. We have millions and millions of projections that we have accumulated since our birth. You are listening to me and suddenly your mind goes to my beard, and then you imagine, oh, I met another beard guy who was crazy. He also looks crazy. And the mind is distracted. Mind is simply distracted. So we have to remove those projections. I think, I believe you are understanding clearly. So it happens, even while listening, there are hundreds of the thoughts which triggers your mind. Either it causes the impurity or it causes the projection. So that mental impurities obscure the desire of self-knowledge. Now we are going by the text. So each and every step we are going by the text, so it is always for you. But why it happens? So that we will understand. It happens because of the attachment, because of the strong likes and dislikes, the desire clouds the mind and distracts our intellect from the self-inquiry. So we have to minimize these impurities. But what is going to happen as you minimize the impurities? You start experiencing the peace and the calm in your life. You may be able to drop your reaction and the anxiety and the duality and the conflict. So that was the second. So in the third, the master in the third verse, the master is emphasizing, as long as the impurities are not weakened or not minimized, the mind continues to have a sense of attachment and it will continue to project something in the mind at the subconscious level, at the habitual level, and that prevents the self-inquiry, and that prevents me to realize my real self. Everything is logical. I'm not talking of religion, dogma, cult, belief. I'm not even talking of the God. That is how our masters have laid down these principles. So weakening the mental impurities enables, what it enables? It enables, if I use the word, a spiritual discernment. There is normally a discernment. Discernment means I separate one thing from the other. What does it mean? You have an urge to drink a coffee, you don't land up into the washroom, so you discern. You go to the kitchen. You are aware of the washroom, you are aware of the living room, you are aware of the bedroom, but you go to the kitchen. That is discernment. You are driving to your home, so you land up to your home, you don't land up to your neighbor's home. This is discernment, separating. But what happens? That when you weaken the mental impurities, you awaken to the spiritual discernment. So that we will understand. So purifying the mind is a necessary for self-awakening. Today we are going to take up the fourth principle. So mind normally asks, what kind of a practice I need to do? How many times I practice? One guy asked me, I give a lesson to this Ukrainian group. So he is very good guy. He said, how to get rid of this ego instantly. Good question. So what answer I should give? Instantly. So now you see what is the projection behind the word instantly. We talk about the instant food and the junk food, isn't it? You take 5 burgers from the McDonald's. Can you eat in 1 minute? So you see how the false projection is there. It is an instant food for them who cooked it. But I cannot eat the 5. So we go very deep into understanding each and every word. So I said, how can you get rid of the ego instantly when your ego is asking the same question? Ego is always in a hurry. Real self is not in a hurry. Are you getting it? Anyhow, now you have to ask the next question. So we are going to take up the fourth verse. Yes, it is the fourth verse. The title of the fourth verse is "The good karma alone is not sufficient to treat the path of Eastern wisdom." Good karma, good actions, good past impression. Did you make a conscious decision to attend this session? because there's some more thing behind your mind. That is the answer. And if you made a conscious decision to attend the session, why not hundreds of people are attending the session? Am I teaching something crazy? So the master answers. Pay attention to it. All our actions that we take in our life based on our past impressions. Those impressions are, you can say we have a saving account of those impressions. And in that saving account we have two types of impressions. One is negative and one is positive. You become angry because of the past impression that is in your saving account. You become agitated, you react. And you are attending the session because of the good impressions you have in that account. Why you are going to attend the session of this crazy guy who only talks and gives practices? So there is something in deep behind the mind that causes your liking, and ultimately liking, and then inspiring, and then motivate. So you are self-motivating yourself. Oh, let me know what is there, what he talks about. So there, these past impressions we will discuss in detail, but I'm just giving a brief. These past impressions, we have a deposits of those past impressions that is carried forward from the, I'm using different words, but I will explain later when the opportunity comes, as the way the master is teaching. So those past impressions we have earned from this birth and also from the previous birth. Whether you say it's a past impression or karma deposit. And it has two it has two types. One impression is that, why the mind is attracted to the Eastern wisdom. Why shouldn't I have a drink of vodka instead of spending time and wasting your time listening to this crazy guy? There is something in you. So that is why we all teachers respect that. But the moment your mind changes the track, then we are tough on you. Why it changes the track? Because of those negative impressions. So these two kinds of impressions are constantly working. You don't attend the session by force, by compulsion. But there is something you have realized that over the years, you have realized that I have to find it out. But then what happens? Then the impurities takes over, then the projection takes over, and then you get carried away into another direction. Tell me if it is not true. It is a very deeper psychology. So we take it easy. You are not attending, very good. You are attending, very good. We know what is happening. So the fourth verse says the past karma is not sufficient to succeed on this path. This is what the master is saying. So because of the past karma, we build a certain ego. We said, okay, I am attending your session. Give me a mantra that by which I will succeed. No, you will not succeed. You have to understand the entire principle. You have to treat the path. Slow and steady wins the race. A snail was crossing the road. It took him a week to cross the road. He happens to meet a turtle. So when the turtle saw the snail, he smiled and said, "It happens so fast." That is our projection. That projection must go. Did you understand? It happens so fast. The turtle was looking at, and it took a week for the snail to cross the road. Why? In our case, it is the past impressions, the opposite impressions, they block my path. When they block your path, then you say, okay, I have understood it, let me leave it, it's not working in my life. It is your past impression that is haunting you. I have an urgent appointment. This is not an urgency for you. The session is not an urgency for you. It is because of your past impression. Otherwise, you are always ready to ask 10 questions. I have learned this, I have repeated, I have understood this. These are the good impressions that inspires you and motivates you to continue the journey. That makes you a seeker. You are a seeker at the first hand. That is why you are attending the session. But that is just the beginning. You understand? And the second part, now we are understanding it is because of the past karma deviates me, distracts me. And then I fail in the path. So the master is saying, good karma alone is not sufficient treading the path. Good intention is not sufficient on treading the path. I have to look back. I have to look at my thoughts and feelings and impressions. What are my priorities in my life? Don't you think I should earn first and then yes, it is important. But at the same time, do you think that this journey is a priority in your life? So gradually we understand those past impressions and we see how those past impressions expresses themselves in the mind. One guy told me I have an extreme headache, that's why I'm not attending the session. So I instantly sent a reply. Because you have a headache, you must attend the session to get out of the headache. And she did not understand last year. But now she understood. She just in the last session, I think 2 weeks ago, she repeated, now I can see what you said to me. There are a lot of things to be discussed, but so the master is saying the desire for seeking the real self, realizing the real self is happening in your mind due to the past karma. But still that is not sufficient. Why that is not sufficient? Because there are opposing tendencies in my life. Are you getting it? There are opposing tendencies in my life. That is blocking me. And those opposing tendencies, they makes you postpone, they makes you become late, they makes you skip, they makes you forget. Oh, who will do the practice? Let him say every day, every time he repeats it. He does not understand how I am busy. Why you are busy, tell me. Can you ever become free from your busyness? Answer is big no. One thing. And why you are busy? You are busy in the world? Why you are busy in the world? To be in peace and happiness? Can the world give you peace and happiness? Tell me. So this is the past karma which rationalizes, which creates a projection and the impurities in the mind that blocks you the progress. Are you getting it? We are going deeper now. It has been enough. So that blocks your progress. Let me have a gossip for an hour. You find the time to gossip. I'm not saying anything. I'm not attacking you. So we will understand this karma is a universal law of cause and effect. Every action has a consequences. So why she could understand after a year, she told me that she felt very bad when you responded me that you must attend the session. My mind told me that, he does not understand how acute the headache I had. How can I attend the session? And after evolving to a higher level, so what, every action has its consequences. It accumulates in your mind, it covers, it veils. One more thing to understand, because of the past karma from the previous birth, and we carried forward in this birth, and we have accumulated every karma that is good what happened maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, is going to create a favorable, conducive situation, relationships, moment of the peace and happiness today. And every excuse that is already accumulated is going to bring the fruits in the terms of unfavorable situation. Do you think that, do you fight with the honey today, it is because of today's cause and effect? No. It is because of previous karma. It has nothing to do with today. That is how we have to understand these principles. You can think of it, because if the trigger in the mind to oppose someone is not present, how can you fight with someone? Yes, Sophie has always a question.
So, okay, so you have past action that had consequences today. If you start feeling guilty about it, is that an I, me kind of thought?
Yes, yeah. It is associated with the I, and that guilt is also the result of the past action that we performed. But then it is linked with the I. So today I feel the guilt and I remain in the guilt, so it is creating another impression, and it is going to bear the fruit in the future. So it's a universal law of cause and effect. We will talk in detail, but I'm just giving you a brief understanding. Casey has also raised her hand.
A quick question, please.
Quick.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
How are we to discern whether it is karma or whether it is samskara? Whether we're acting habitually or whether it's a past impression. Or are they the same?
Wait for some time to understand it. Once we cover, today is the 4th verse I'm covering. When you cover the 7th or the 8th verse, you will come to know it is coming because of the past karma or because of. But one thing you have to be sure, my habitual and impulses also combines with why I have a certain habit and why you have a certain different habit. Again, it goes back to the karma, the universal law of the cause and effect. That is why today I feel bad, tomorrow I feel good, and then I claim, according to modern psychology, as a habit, as an impulsive. why two people have the different impulsive reaction to the same event. We both have the same impulsive drive, it is the same mind. So that we are going to understand deeply. But one thing, understand collectively that favorable circumstances today, what it means, the whole day passes in calm and peaceful. Your honey says you are crazy and you simply smile. You have done it before. I know it. And the other day, if your honey says you are crazy, you get hurt. So on the given day when you are hurt, it is because of the past karma. That negative karma helped you to react impulsively. Look at the level of awareness we need to understand this. I'm just giving a brief, we are going to explore each and every aspect. Every question is answered. That is why we have 3,000 texts and teachers. They answered every question. So understood that karma refers to the principles of cause and effect, that every action has a consequences either in this life or the next. Keep in your head what is previous life, whether there is a previous life or not. Don't believe it. Just keep in your mind those concepts we are going to understand. So our present circumstances are the results of the past actions, while our present actions will determine our future circumstances. Clear? So when I'm treating the path and I'm exploring the entire, opening that Pandora box of the law of cause and effect, our impulsive reactions, and let me see if I change those by removing the impurities and the projections of the mind, tomorrow I am preparing my life for a favorable condition in spite of the world attacks you. Let the world attack you. They also become favorable to you. Can it happen in 1 hour? I know you have an answer. You have an answer. One more thing and then we will start with the practice. I don't want to embark on that. There are 3 types of the karma that we will talk about it. So how one type of the karma brings the current everyday life situation, that includes the impulsive reaction. We will talk in a detail later. So let us see that. Based on this, keep in a clear understanding, keep in your mind and think of that, what should be your next question. And that is how the master explains the 5th verse. Don't be so serious, Don't start thinking how I created unfavorable situation in my life. So you understand, by treating this path, you understand how to turn those unfavorable situation also into a favorable. It means the past results, unfavorable results, you can minimize it, but you cannot totally overturn it. You cannot completely overturn it. Let us close your eyes. Eyes are closed and being comfortable. So last time we have understood being comfortable in 2 ways. Being comfortable is nothing but raising or rise in awareness. Being comfortable means you are always comfortable because the mind is projecting outside on the body, on the mind, on a situation, on the work that you did today. We are removing those projections, but we follow in a very simple way. First, what the first is that you look at the entire body, means mentally looking at the entire body means you are aware of the entire body and you experience the sensation, comfort and steadiness. So we are going to leave the beginning of those explanations in these steps and we will move deeper. So I'm making you understand. So in the second way to rise in little higher awareness by being comfortable, what I said, you look inside the body, be aware of the space inside or darkness inside, and the moment you feel there is no boundary in the space, even though you move inside your mind inside the body. So what happens when you move inside the body, your mind, and you find there is a space and you see there is no boundary? Obviously that is projected emptiness has an experience of being comfortable. So these two ways we have done in being comfortable. And now in being carefree. So in being carefree, what I said that, I gave an example that you are standing across a road watching the traffic. Let me give you another example. So we normally say thought is coming and going, you watch. It doesn't happen that way. If it is so easy without understanding the principle behind it. So what is the principle behind it? That you are watching the traffic and standing across the road. So that you are different, separate from the traffic. You have objectified the traffic. We are not able to objectify the thoughts that is present in the mind. And if you do not succeed in objectifying the thoughts, then what happens? They subjectify. And when they subjectify, then what happens? Then you complain, I had lot of thoughts. You did not objectify it. Very subtle principle. So that is why I explain it in a symbolic way. So we do not succeed in objectifying the thought. Why? Because we are attached to these thoughts and feelings. Can one succeed in one day? Answer is big no. It's a journey. Maybe you can objectify today and other thoughts you can subjectify again the next day. Now see, the third step we are doing is the mantra. So mantra have to be done with reference to the three factors. We are replacing the thought. That is the basic principle if I'm using the Shanti mantra. So what is that? We chant the mantra. The brain is triggered, listening and reciting mentally those Sanskrit chants. Let me be very logical and rational. Second is that we go to the meaning that goes to the intellect, and then we go to the knowledge through the contemplation and reflection. That goes to the mind. I believe you have understood. So let us see. Asatoma satgamaya. Mentally you are saying Asatoma satgamaya. Asatoma satgamaya. Now the intellect wants to know the meaning, so intellect is aware of the meaning. I know that you have heard this meaning millions of times, but it will not work until it descends down into the mind through the contemplation and reflection. What is the meaning? Lead me from the false to the real. So what about the meaning? The knowledge part. So if I do not have an idea of what is false and what is real, it will not work. Simply repeating, it's a mechanical, habitual repetition will not work. So I must put the knowledge in the mind. So pick up in one way, what is changing is false, and then examine what is changing is false. What is changing? Body is changing, yes. Mind is changing, yes. Intellect is changing, yes. Breath is changing, yes. Oh, this is false. So real self is behind that. Just leave the mind with that understanding. That is going to bring a change. That is why people simply talk a lot about it and they do not undergo a change, even they are repeating it for 40, 50 years. Remember, I'm not teaching anything from myself. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Meaning, lead me or move me or let me progress from ignorance to wisdom. And we have discussed in detail what exactly is the ignorance. Willing power and projecting power causes the ignorance, and I am not able to realize the real self. Means what? I need to have a knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of the Eastern wisdom. What is that? So I have to follow the path, listening and learning the principles we have done. Oh, so I have to yet to learn a lot of things. So you inspire your mind. Third point, Mrityorama Amritangamaya. Mrityorama Amritangamaya. Mrityorama Amritangamaya. Have you seen anyone chanting, reciting these mantras as a rap song? It will not work. You have to rationally, you have to ask the reasoning that why we do sing like this and why we are not singing like a rap song. So it means let me move from the death to immortality. Death to immortality. So what takes birth has to die. This is the one principle. There are many other principles. We will talk about it. So now contemplate and reflect. My body has taken birth. Forget about it. I am not the body. When I took the birth, so it comes with the breath, it comes with the mind. You have already seen BOGO. Buy one, get one. The body takes birth, along with it the body, breath comes, and the mind comes, and the intellect comes, and the impulses comes, and oh, such a long list. And they all die with the... So what takes birth has to die is not me. Means it is not the real self. That mind should settle into that knowledge. Then you rise in awareness. Otherwise, the knowledge remains at the intellectual level. Let us move to the fourth step. You might be aware that I give practices to every group differently, based on the group. So we will explain, we will go deeper in each and every step. So now we go to the next step, that is what I said. I say it's a quick, short, gentle chest breathing, but with awareness inside the forehead. You are looking inside the forehead. One thing, body remain in the state of steadiness. Second thing, and then you start breathing quick and short and gentle breath through both the nostrils. Start doing it. Start doing it. Continue to do it, but during the practice, you recognize the changes. You also recognize the resistance. Oh, how long I have to do it? Mind keeps on asking the question. It changes the rate and the rhythm of the breath. That is coming from your past impression. So what I have to do? I have to endure it. There is a one day I have a good feel good factor. On the other day I have a bad feeling. So whenever I have some resistance, I tell the mind I have to continue. I have to do it. There is no other way. You endure it consciously. When you endure it consciously, that is how you tackle those impressions. It's a very subtler level. And stop it. We have done for only 2 minutes. And when there is any resistance, just tell the mind that it's a bitter pill until the mind changes. I have to continue. So that will not create any reaction in the mind when the knowledge is right, is placed there. So let us move into the next step. Look at the breath. In that experience, start breathing deep, silent, and slow. So we have a definition of deep, silent, and slow breath. You know slow, you know silent, you know deep. That's okay. But first as you inhale first into the belly, then into the rib cage up to the throat, and while exhaling, you breathe out from the belly, from the rib cage, and check. You have a rhythmic inhalation and exhalation based on your comfort. But again, you have to discern between the comfort and the resistance of the mind. Do you see that? There are a lot of stuff to be learned. You have to discern between resistance, that is habitual or mechanical, that is a comfort zone, resistance of the mind, and the comfort. So this comfort is at the conscious level. You don't leave the deep, silent, slow breath. So you bypass the resistance. Just it's all a matter of awareness. Very good. So now we are on the deep breath, deep inhalation. Every time, the moment you start inhaling, you drop the mantra 3 times on the breath. Shantoham, Shantoham, Shantoham. During exhalation, you drop 3 times Shantoham, Shantoham, Shantoham. Knowing the meaning of Shantoham, I am the peace. You are looking into the space. Continue. I'll tell you the way how it works. We don't need the breathing practice, but there's both the practices helps our mind to purify and to remove the projection in different ways. What is that? We will learn that. I'll include that. If I don't answer any question, then obviously wait for some time. If I don't answer, you remind me. So still you may encounter some resistance, no issue, endure it, keep on doing it. 3 times you are dropping Shantoham on the deep silent in the slow breath and deep silent and slow. 3 times. Now, breath is the same. That is where discernment is required. The breath is the same, deep, silent, and slow. This time you drop 2 Shantoham on each inhalation and each exhalation. So what is going to happen? The mind feels a kind of a freedom. Oh, I have to do only 2 times. Shantoham, Shantoham. While exhaling, Shantoham, Shantoham. The rate and the rhythm of the breath is the same, but only 2 times. And now we will do only 1 time with the same deep, silent and slow breath. Means the Shantoham inhalation ends. It begins Shantoham, mental singing. Mental singing is more powerful than the physical, than the louder. Why, how? As we progress, we will understand that. Allow the breath to be normal. Do not make any effort. And every time that breath goes in, you drop Shantoham. The breath comes out. What is the subtle difference? You follow the breath, and the breath follows you. When the breath follows you with the Shantoham in the end, we'll talk about it, the prana merges into the mind. And we will do it, we will experience that. And do nothing, remain as you are in that state. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences. If you have any question, we'll also address that question. How are you, Sophie?
So, Girish, I'm good, though my mind drifted. So I was not following the instruction all the time. But I became aware, so I brought it back. And yeah.
So understand, when you brought your mind back, it simply means you objectified it. As long as we subjectify any thought, that is the meaning, my mind is distracted. Because that there is a me and mine element is present in the thought. We'll do that. How are you, John?
Hey, Girish. I have to say that early on, if I recall correctly, you were talking about immortality, and I didn't fully follow that.
Okay.
And so I will have to listen to the practice again to see if I can follow it.
Yeah, simple. Death. One transcends the death, but what exactly is the death? Death is a change. Where there is a birth, there has to be the death. Whether it is the car takes the birth, which means that it goes to the showroom, or we also enter into the big showroom of the world when we come out of the womb of the mother. So in both the cases, they both are the same. The body has taken the birth. This body has to die. So as long as I am the body, I will die. So then I have fears. But if I totally de-identify myself with the body, I experience that I am not the body. So there is no death. So what there is no death, that is an immortality. But anyhow, that is a good way to, you rightly said, you listen to it. How are you, Charlie?
Hello. I'm good. Let's see. I felt when I first started meditating with you guys, so like 2 years ago, I used to get this terrible, well, not terrible, but deep fatigue would come on as you were talking. Like my brain just wanted to shut off. It's just too much. And it's funny because I felt a shift in what you were teaching tonight, and that fatigue started to come again. And I was laughing. I was like, oh, that's my resistance and the old stuff. Like, oh, I thought I'd got it down. I thought I understand. And now he's challenging us again. Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt that, and I thought that was interesting because I haven't felt that for a while. So I was like, oh, he's kicking it up a notch here, and yeah, that's me.
And that fatigue has gone.
Yeah, it's gone to the background. It's the part of me that says, you don't want to do this. Just tell him you understand it. Tell him you meditate every morning, but you don't have to. It's that part of me.
Yes. When this knowledge is fully settled in the mind, then you are always relaxed.
Right.
There is no fatigue. And you rightly said, we have to, you remind yourself, if resistance is there, it is, so the resistance is there, let it be replaced by endurance. No, let me continue to do it. I will talk about your fatigueness later. Let me do the practice. So when you switch on and switch off the mind at that particular moment, that is going to help us a great deal. Beautiful. How are you, Casey?
I am well. Oh, is my speaker on? I think my speaker's on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Um, so often I talk about pain because I have pain, every day. The last couple of years have been a big challenge physically. Um, but today's actually a good pain day, and so the practice was much easier and for me because I didn't have the distraction of stuff bugging me. But I have to say that I I delight in the in the principle of immortality because I feel, particularly in the last couple of years, with the physical challenges, the battle between um, my mind. I can laugh at my physical challenges or my mental challenges easier. So within the last couple of years of more physical challenges, greater than I've had in other times in my life, the physical body and the mental body for me are, um, it's easy for me to imagine not being in them any longer. I think the distraction of the physical body and the mental body are part of the wisdom that we gain in spending more time in these bodies and having the ability to grow older and feel and reason in our mind. So we can either be at war with our body and with our mind, or we can be at peace with that process. And so I just feel a real calmness and a real pleasure in having the principles of Eastern wisdom feel like they're a thread in my life, feel like they're a piece that remind me that every time I feel a knee pain, or I have an eye pain, or I have to have, whatever it is that's going on, I can say, "Oh, mind, be at peace, this too shall pass. I am not my body, and I'm not my mind." So though I was grateful and cognizant today's practice that I wasn't in as much pain as I had been in the last couple of weeks, and I could see my mind saying, "Oh, you're grateful." It's like, "Mind, get out of the way. You don't have to be grateful now. Just go away." That was my experience today. That even the mind still tried to create these, "Oh, it's good to be grateful. It's good to not be in pain." The mind still wanted to come in there. And then I was just able to say, "Get out of the way." You know? Let's just enjoy this.
Very good, beautiful. I have to say, we have not to resist. One thing is that today your mind created a favorable condition for the meditation. It was nothing to do with it is a good day or a bad day. The good day and the bad day has to do with projection of the mind. And that projection of the mind we need to remove completely. When I say that I don't have the pain, I am not the body. When I am not the body, body has a pain. So question of not having the pain or having the pain do not arise. So what happens when the mind moves into a very subtle awareness, removing the impurities and the projections? We have a deeper experience. So that is where the calmness comes. It's a beautiful way to put it. Thank you. How are you, Anne?
Yes, I feel very much at peace, and I didn't have to fight any thoughts or
Very good.
anything.
Very wonderful.
Smoothly. Yes.
Wonderful. That is really good. You see that only one practice is given to everyone, and you all have a very different experiences. So it tells the state of the mind on a particular day. So why that particular state of the mind? Again, go back. We get the key because of the past impressions, which has twofold, two types. I already discussed. So that is how we follow each and every step. How are you, Mead?
My mind became very quiet.
Very good.
Quite a while, and then I had a thought that came and said, "What is the real purpose of the mind?"
Yes, sure. What is the real purpose of the mind?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Let me put it. All experiences takes place in the mind. All experiences. So the very cognition, we talk in modern psychology, the cognitive ability. Any experience, every experience takes place in the mind. And then intellect is over the mind. Intellect says, "I have a painful experience." The intellect says, "Make a choice. Do you want to continue with the pain, or you want to get rid of the pain?" So that intellect is also a function of the mind. And then comes the I thought. So we talk in Eastern wisdom, the mind is one, structurally one. It has four functions. Mind and the memory. All the experiences passes into the mind. That is what the mind is known as. Another function of the mind is the memory. We retrieve the memory. Third function of the mind is the intellect. It makes a choice. It has a power of discernment. And the fourth function of the mind is the I thought. That very I thought springs up from the intellect. Now, if the mind is the instrument So that I thought is also an instrument. That is what we are discovering. We have to transcend that I thought to find the real self.